Hey everybody, what is up out there? This is your home dog Sleepy, coming back to you with the new episode. Thank you for laughing, Seraph, of Relevant Ramblings. And as this time we are going to be discussing the finale of Sweet Home. Just before we get in, I want to definitely bring in my co-host here. It's down there is Seraph. Hey, and that's homie over there. It's Ark. How you doing, man? And
you know how I'm doing.
You're extra shadowy. You're
He's not dead yet.
You shut up. He's just going to like.
Yes, I'm gonna pick on you for it.
Yes. Well, fuck you too.
Thanks. I'm so glad to be there.
The darkness.
Oh, you know. Well, just before we jump into this, I definitely want to say, go ahead and hit us down in the link trees so you can, the links below so you can see our link tree to all of our social media, as well as go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can join our crew as well and get all of the latest episodes as they come out. Yeah. Seraph just finished, actually, just before we started this whole cast. I know Ark and I finished a week a little bit later, but yeah. Our regular, one of our only horror webtoons that we were actually covering going forward just came to an end. And yeah, just before we actually started the cast, it was like literally, like last week it ended, I believe, right, Ark?
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take a week or so. So
it was earlier this week.
Yeah, because, unless you fast passed it, then you got it a couple days early, but we had to wait for it to come all the way through. But still, we made it. They made it to an end. There was an actual end point. I believe Ark made the comment that he didn't think that this was going to go any further past the building, so he wins that bet. But
yes,
your win was a broken GPU. Congratulations.
Shut up.
Why you gotta blame him like that?
You know how much that hurts me.
Because between this and the life thing, it's like a perfect coalescence of, pure pain that you can just push together. Yeah.
Now I have like nothing to distract me.
What's up?
Alive.
You have what now?
I have nothing to distract me while I'm alive now.
now you're even more aware of the darkness.
I'd rather die than have a broken GPU.
I always want to be dead, but then now there's
now there's more of a drive.
Now there's a stronger drive.
Well, I mean, if we were in the world of Sweet Home, you could have made that drive a little bit more real. At least let something else take over, and you could just go off and be in a happy place for all eternity.
No, I have to effectively die. The thing wait, you have to die? Yes, this includes you.
So wait, would you be the only person to beat the thing inside you then?
Yes.
The only way to win would be annihilation, which it wouldn't want.
Yeah, all right. It would be like, well, fuck you. And I'd be like, well, fuck you too.
Just the perfect stalemate. Oh, well, before we even run off on any random go-arounds, let's actually try and stick to a few topics here. So, overall, with the series that we had, let's just say, what do we actually like out of this series all the way forward, now that we have the full range of it? I know this is probably, since it's only like one of the only horror movie or horror webtoons that I believe, at least Seraph reads. I've got a few other in my belt. I actually don't know if there's any other horror webtoons that you read, Ark.
No. I feel like this started out really strong, but the ending felt so indifferent that I was just like, okay. And then there's no real explanation for the ending.
Like the very, very end we got.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, okay, so now we're just left with more questions than actual answers, if anything.
I mean, there weren't a lot of answers that we got to begin with. Because, I mean, most of it, even in world, everybody was kind of speculating what was kind of going on.
Even the monsters themselves
weren't 100%. Yeah,
what they were. So like there were no definitive answer as to like what anything is. Oh wait, fine. Consider that we're talking about this. This is pure spoilers from this point on. Or
Okay, so
right?
I'll flash the warning on the screen right here when I edit. This is all spoiler talk now.
Just flash it in the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like the ending has it where he, chooses to become a monster and save everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, what's his name?
Q.
Yeah, he also chooses to be a monster to prevent him from killing everyone else.
Yes, because
And it's like, okay. And I was like, oh, is this going to end up being something stupid? Like, when they both wake up, that they're like fused or something. Like, I had no idea what the fuck's going on. And then he's the only one who wakes up and not the other one. And I was like,
well, he was the first one too, so.
yes. But I was like, okay, so what was, like, I still have no idea what the fuck's going on, because he's the only one who like comes back and is like, oh, monsters aren't supposed to have feelings, but he cries when he hears music and he still remembers somehow, but there's no answers as to like how he's the only exception to this, if he is an exception to this.
I wouldn't say he's an entirely exception, because if we take a look at especially at Homeboy Prison Dude, when he transformed, he was still very aware of
no, but I'm not saying
attacking
like
the
being
group.
aware of what it is, but like when after like the second stage.
Oh,
The second monster stage, yeah, the after, where you are reborn as like a human, the new
human. Yeah,
And all we see them as emotionless
they're
bodies.
they're supposed to be just emotionless.
And then like Yoon is the one who has the exception of getting the
Yeah.
And there's no explanation as to why.
Mhm.
The only other thing I can think of is because he fought for so long against his monster side.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, he fully accepted the fact that he was going to turn into a monster anyways.
Mhm.
So I don't know if he just ended up opening that door that showed up and going back to it, or if it's just like he somehow still has a brain.
I mean, there's plenty of different ways we could look at it, because, there's a panel in there where after he fully monsterizes, they show a side of him on the other side of the door after he's accepted to take the happiness, and you hear Chiha like scream, and in the inner mind you see him turn around and look at the door for like a brief moment. So like he could, like, there was a chance like something was getting through to him still, even though he had completely gone into monster form. But granted, it's not enough to really go on, because we don't experience or see this kind of development for any of the other monsters in any way, and we're not given a chance to, because they either end up getting killed before they fully are able to articulate, or the story doesn't progress beyond that. So, but I mean, everything we're getting is most of the time completely random and new information. The fact that one monster says that that this is what we become, we have no emotions, but it's probably just going to say that even the monsters don't 100% know what they are even after that, because like you said before, Ark, that they're also guessing what they are. So to them just come out and say like, yeah, we're perfect because we no longer have a drive of just survival and instinct to always be at the top or destroy anything else in its way in order so that we can achieve greater heights. But the fact that he was able to even hold out the monsterization that long, he was able to, even once transforming, he did a task that he wanted to do. Everything seems to always be kind of like, well, this is what you say it is, but is that entirely what it is? Are you sure of that? Like, there's no other palette backing up any of that information that's 100% true. So I can definitely see it being very a little lackluster in the fact that we don't get some of those answers, or they really start asking, you start piling on more questions right at the very end, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to what else has happened in the story, or what we've already been told is supposed to be actual fact. But at the same time, I would say that this is kind of usually can be a better point for a lot of horror stories because you're not supposed to really know kind of exactly what the monsters can and can't do.
I'm also having okay. So how did they know that he had not fully turned into a monster at the end when he came back? Like they all just like, oh guys, he's here. Let's all like hug it. I'm like, is this where he murders them? Because like I thought that was where he was gonna go, right? Like
for a brief,
but then you just see him
monster at this point.
Well, I mean, those three did see him monsterize, like, and then he started attacking him.
It was like, how did they know that he came back that he wasn't like he
wasn't gonna kill him?
Yeah, that he wasn't gonna kill him.
I was like, oh, how did they know? Like, no, nothing at all. Okay.
I mean, so far as we've seen, granted, I don't know how much time has passed between that point and now. I'm sure they've seen some other
summer to winter, so it's had to
yeah.
Be like,
so I'm sure they've seen other humans, just random naked humans walking around that maybe don't respond, and they're like, well, they're kind of harmless. They don't do anything, and that's so far. Even we've been shown that like once they become the true humans, they don't attack. They don't do anything. It seems they're pretty much indifferent.
That one guy that turned the boss into the.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so, like they do things though.
It seems they can do things, but it seems like he's just helping them because remember, everyone in the world technically will become one, regardless, because they all have whatever it is inside of them that will cause them to monsterize. So
the
desire. So I mean, the fact that guy was just a blanket of emotions already and dying, he was probably very easy to convince to, go into full monsterization. There's nothing saying that, any of the other ones, like if they touch you, you just instantly become, you go into the full transformation or anything. I'm sure since they've gone through it, they can explain it to them.
I thought Jimmy was referencing the monster that fed him, not the boss guy. Anyways.
Which one?
You remember the scene from
the human girl that offered. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They had that little ball of goo.
Monster flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, monster flesh, and then like gave it to the boss, and then he turned into a monster.
Yeah.
So they all have that ability. It seems like.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, he had to willingly accept it. It wasn't just like, so far as we see, it wasn't like, I'm going to force this on you or anything. Because granted, it seems at the end of the day, it's like they all know, well, you'll eventually get to this point because you'll eventually break down enough. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But so far as I've seen, they haven't, what we saw from at least a few like completed humans you saw, they were hardly a threat. I mean, I can't remember. Glasses Girl, she just basically killed one really easy in a very odd fit of rage. Like, and it didn't come back at all. It stayed dead and with very little force. So they're not as strong as their monsterized counterparts. Granted,
they're still fragile.
Like they're fragile like regular humans. It's they just have the advantage of that they're connected, I guess, to all the other monsters. So if they get killed or one of them gets killed, any monster in the area is literally alerted to their presence and they just flock to that spot. As we saw, like when they killed what's her name, who turned into that baby monster. When she was killed, they like basically bum rushed the building and they all asked like the same question, was it you? So they're like they somehow hive mind together when that occurs. Otherwise they just kind of spread out and do whatever desire they had at that moment before the monsterization took form. Yeah, so for that, I would say I could agree on definitely a few different levels. Seraph, how about you? Goods, bads for you on this one?
It was really sad.
Okay.
Was it sad?
Okay. I
Sad.
mean, okay, he can be sad. You don't have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I kind of wish that ending didn't happen, so it'd be more heartfelt.
I kind of did too. Like they kind of spoon fed us a happy ending. Like it's okay.
It's a happy ending. I was like, why?
It's okay. You know,
That's
there's
why I
But I
thought.
hate the ending.
That's
That-
why I
don't
thought
like
the
it.
ending was where he like they meet up and they think it's him and he was still a monster and I was like, oh, then this was like a proper horror ending, but it wasn't. It was like, guys, don't worry, there's a happy ending, and I'm like, but why though?
so
Yeah,
so
like,
so
what?
okay.
I was so satisfied. Also, when I was reading it just now, I was so fucking satisfied with the way it ended. I was like, all right, cool. Two guys, they both die, and then the others just kind of
Yep.
go off and do their own.
Okay.
Yet to have, aside from Akame got killed,
Yeah.
an MC actually just die
Yeah, the MC just goes away.
at the ending. I have yet to experience that. I was hoping for that for this one because it seemed like it was building up to that point
Mhm.
since the beginning, and then they hit me with this. And I was like, why?
They
Beautiful? Yes. I love the music.
I mean, yeah, it was super nice for that end, and I was gonna say, I was like, okay, so this group is anti-happy endings in some way for horror stories. Like everyone was just like,
No.
we got a happy ending. We
It
don't
is
want
not
that
that
for
we are
horror.
against a happy ending, but the happy ending feels so abrupt. That's what it
felt like
It
was
didn't
super
feel
rushed.
it didn't feel earned, really.
Because it's kind of weird where I feel like it was a happier ending before the happy ending, because he achieved what he wanted to do and he became a monster, but he was like, no, but like in my dreams I get to do exactly what I want. That is my pride. That is what I deserve now. Do you understand that? But then like, oh no, but he wakes up as like a new human now and he lives with his new family, and I'm like, but why?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I didn't like that.
I don't know. I guess it depends on how we want to look at the whole journey for the character. Was the struggle for him to be able to accept a new family that's not genetically related to him, or was it really all about his struggle of being able to prove that he can have a family if they're not related to him, and the reward is that he gets to go back to his old family? I guess that would kind of be the perspective I'm thinking you're two trying to like argue between there. That would be
the thing I can think of as to how this ending could have came about.
See,
Is because he walked through the door again.
yeah, like if he like went backwards to the door, like after
No,
accepting it.
Once already.
it wasn't that he went back to the door, but like if what he saw in his dreams as to like what he wanted to be like these new people, then I'm like, oh, I get it, okay. But it wasn't that. He still saw his old family to be like, oh, this is still what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem there, where it's like, okay, so if that's what he still wanted in the end, he got what he wanted. He wanted to like finally be able to like make amends for what he did to his family by like saying, you know, the worst things possible before they died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he felt guilty and he felt that he deserved to also die because he's the one who technically he feels like
He
he was
believes he's the one that cursed them all to be
killed them,
killed.
basically. Yeah.
So
like at the end here, it's like, okay, he resolved it. He's come to terms that everything he's done was not completely his fault, and he's made amends. So he's going to go live in his dream world where he can be with his family. Cool, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But then we don't get that. We have it where he's like, oh, I'm a new human now. And if anything, like, it looks like less than a year has passed or something, right? Like, not enough time has passed. Where, like,
Not too much.
If they were like all adults, if the kids were adults or something, and then he shows up, then I would know how much time actually passed. Do you understand that? But they were like, no, this is like a short term.
it's maybe
okay?
been a few months.
Yeah, like a few months, right? Or like less time than the same. At worst, it was the same amount of time they spent in the fucking hotel, right?
I mean, in the apartment complex. Yeah.
Yeah, from like October 3rd to the 23rd, so like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. So, what was the point of the ending? Almost.
I'm not sure if it, like I said, it's as story based. It seems like it wasn't really story written end as much as it was just, all right, let's make the fans happy, you know, kind of thing.
How did he find them? That's also the thing that bothered me.
I didn't understand that part either. Like,
Bro, the amount of wandering you would have to do to find them like that, like, what?
I mean, if it had ended with him becoming a new human, which we knew that would occur, that was the inevitable thing that would occur. and he like, and it just was him
Walked
walking around
into the sunset. Okay, then
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
okay, cool, we got it.
Like maybe if he had found the phone and we see him walking to the sunset and he starts playing the music, then I would have been fine. Like this is perfectly fine. But like the fact that it ends with him going on the journey to then find that.
Not even a journey. He walked.
Well,
down
no, he
the
walked.
street.
Yeah,
like that's how I felt like it looked like. He was like
he just walked around the corner and there they are.
And I found them.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to feel about like the very, very end of it all with this just very weird like happy moment for some odd reason to all the whole thing. Like I said, outside of it being, just this is for the fan base so that they have a happy bit, more than anything. It's not the worst thing I've seen, but it definitely doesn't feel like it's really well done or properly or right for what we got at that end.
No, it feels like when you're reading a manga and they're like, "Oh guys, we axed it today," and you're like, "Wait, that's it?"
I mean,
like that.
Yeah, just buy. It kind of really feels like the oh god. It kind of feels like an unearned ability from the MC, like they or diminishes the sacrifice. It's kind of like they better yet, you would understand this better from the arc. This kind of feels like the end of season 1 of Korra, where all the people that
Oh no, we took all the powers away, but then they also
yeah, and then they literally just get them all back at the end. It just feels like, what was the sacrifice for? There was no problem then, really, if this was just all going to get reversed. It kind of felt like that. Like for no reason, you just get your abilities back. But why? Why does that doesn't make any sense?
They hit us with the whole 180.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this feels like. Like he made that ultimate sacrifice to protect his new family. He, of course, gets that desire in his head because that's what would occur. And at the end, it's like, okay, he comes a monster again. He finds the recording, and he just gets all his memories back, and he goes back to the old family. So the sacrifice was just...
He was in that cocoon for like at least 2 weeks, right? Comparatively, we were to compare everyone else for 2 weeks. How the fuck did that phone keep a fucking charge?
I would say more than 2 weeks, but I have no idea.
Right? Like, he at least spent time in that fucking monster cocoon as long as everyone else who became a new human. And yet he finds a phone that still works afterwards. Guys, there's a fucking problem with this. What she said?
It's okay. It's a Nokia.
Made it very important to know that, hey, always charge your phone because you never know when it's going to die, okay? Oh, cool. When did we suddenly have magical phones that could last 2 weeks? Why would it be a fucking problem now, like earlier, if like they needed to charge their phones?
Oh, the magic of finding those tiny details. Oh yeah, I mean, everything that you're saying basically plays into my idea theory that it's like this is just because we wanted to give the fans something to be happy about, to at least have a happy note to end the whole series on, really.
Mm-hmm.
If
you enjoyed this happy ending, fuck all you guys, because it makes no sense. That's what that is.
So if you want, Ark is also on Twitter. You can find him there, and you can send him all your comments about your feelings to this. Yeah, so
I do not have a problem with like happy endings or like whatever. All right.
Are you sure you don't?
I have a problem with how it's fucking written, how we get there. All right.
Executed for this happy ending is what kind of irked me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay.
I fucking absolutely loved it.
The longer we go with this, the more I'm gonna start breaking it
down. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Very much. Okay.
Otherwise, I series.
Okay, so besides that, basically what I will say is the worst part of the series for us, apparently. Besides that, how did we overall like a lot of the characters? At least the development for each one of the characters, as well as their inevitable, finish points for them. You said something, Seraph?
There was a shit ton of character development, which I liked a lot, because then I got to learn a lot more about some of the characters, like Hyun, the detective and shit like that.
No, best
The
character was old
backstory
man.
on the fat bitch was unnecessary. But, I was kind of. I ain't gonna lie. I smiled.
You
fell
when
for
she
that
fell, you were just like, yes.
Yeah, bro. I was like,
yes. Just in the corner, good.
She should have lived. You know why? Because like she should have lived to prove the fact that like whether you're good or bad person, like you should still live.
I mean, okay, this isn't Game of Thrones. It's not Game of Thrones. The bad people don't always win here. We can clearly tell that.
That's the problem with like when she died, because when she died, then it gave reason for like Seraph here to be like, oh, finally she died. I'm like, yeah, but why though? It's not like they killed her.
No, but
by a fucking accident, and that takes that away even more. Like if they had like decided to like cut her off because like she deserved to die for being a bad person, I get it. But no, she just so happens to die, and
she doesn't. Okay. She doesn't just so happen to die.
Again, but it's probably been like what you said earlier, Sleepy, about making the fans happy.
Okay.
In the comments, there was a lot of them that was saying.
I'm sure there were. I'm sure there were.
She should have died like 6 times over in the comments.
Okay, but just like you said, Jed, she just dies by accident and it was undeserved. We do see her before that even occurs. She does get that realization to try. She wants to become a better person. Like she makes that conscious decision that she's going to become better if she lives. And that's when, you know, she ends up dying. So this isn't so much this isn't so much just like the bad character or an evil character getting their comeuppance here. This isn't quite as bad as like Jaime Lannister getting killed thing, where you know the character who's terrible.
But it definitely felt like that's what the writer just threw under the bus for us like that. Like if you were gonna make a character to like actually grow and change and like, but then like also at the same time throw her like to her death, so that everyone who hated her beforehand be like, all right, guys, it's fine. She redeemed herself, but at the same time we have every reason to have hated her, so she could die here too.
But wouldn't that also be realistic with some things? Like you can be a terrible, shitty person, and then at the last minutes, not knowing you're gonna die, and at the last minutes decide, all right, I'm actually going to try and be good. I'm going to, you know, I after this like entire speech, especially with one of the other characters, I am going to make this new leaf change. I'm going to become good, but you get cut short because of it. Because this wasn't a scenario specifically designed that she was going to be killed at. Any one of the characters could have died at this point, and a few of them do. So, you know,
we beat bets.
We did. And the idea being, you know, like, hey, even if you decide this doesn't save you from that flag. Even if at the last moments or even leading up to it, you decide I'm going to become better, it's not going to somehow magically give you plot armor that now you just can't be killed. You have to survive.
No, it's not that she can't be killed or her death should have just been meaningful. Like at that point, like, okay, we were already at like, in hindsight, we know that the ending comes right after that, right?
Yes.
So like, in hindsight, it should have been either she survived or she actually sacrificed herself, so we actually see what happens instead of actually like her making a conscious decision. Because even if a person makes a conscious decision, doesn't mean that person becomes a better person. All right. I also would have like preferred it to say that, oh hey, in this kind of world, whether you're a good or bad person, you can still survive. And I think she should have survived even if she was a bad person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the whole series had gotten written at least up until this point that a lot of the bad people always are going to get, you know, pretty much taken care of in the end. Every one of the prisoner bus members end up getting killed. So it has a very good role that, you know, the bad people will still get killed, but along the way, some good people will die as well. And the fact that she tried to make that turn at the end is where that was trying to go, where they were trying to turn her into good, because they were literally, it seems like they were trying to make her redeemable in the eyes of the other characters, as well as the eyes of the rest of the fan base. And then she gets killed. Because I mean, if that heel turn came around and then, you know, for most people, if they had seen that, a lot of them probably would have been like, oh shit, I thought, you know, she was going to be good now. So I thought we were going to get more of her, you know, potentially getting into those small death.
Because you get people like fucking Seraph here who felt cathartic that she died, because they're like, guys, we finally got We finally got what we wanted all along. She should have died. Do you understand this? That's the problem with it. Because her death there becomes a cathartic death and not an actual like, oh guys, her death is a meaningful death. It was like it's something that was thrown like a bone thrown to the fans for no reason is what it is.
I don't think they gave enough time for her to actually get into that redemption part of it before, because they were at that end spot that we couldn't get more time with her.
That's why it's perfectly fine for a bad person to survive in this world, but like that's how that should have been, instead of like, oh guys, even if like I get where you guys are coming from, I do. However, the problem with that is it's not like her, like, again, it's not like her death there was something that was triggered by the other people or like anything else besides the fact that it was like by happenstance that she just fell to her death. That's the problem there. If it was more than just a happenstance, like say as she was trying to get on, like, or like she protected the rope as like so everyone else can cross and she dies there, I can get it, okay? But it being like a happenstance, be like this way it was like, oh, she hasn't fully redeemed herself, so that everyone who wanted her dead in the first place can feel happy that like she died anyways. Do you understand this? But also at the same time, like, oh guys, she tried to turn over a new leaf, so people, but then when she dies after that, there's like, oh god, but it wasn't like a sacrifice death. It was like, well, she tried, but sometimes just because you try, like, yeah, but this doesn't progress the story in any way. Her death there progressed nothing is what the problem is.
I mean, at that point in the story, the progression for it was less on her and any other character outside of the MC. So the only person that was really going to progress it was that character. So all of the other consequential deaths that we would see were pretty much just for audience members really reading it and going like, okay, so we're at the spot where, pretty much anyone who goes across this line has basically a death flag.
If someone was supposed to die on that fucking line, it should have been one of the kids.
I would have probably preferred that occurring, but
because if there was one of the kids, at least that people would have been emotionally invested with the kids. That's why
they already were emotionally invested with the kids.
Again, that's why when she dies, there's no emotional investment for her.
Like you said, it's cathartic. Everybody wanted that to happen.
Yes,
so.
And that's why I was just like, okay, but why though? Because this provides nothing to the story. Don't do this. If she was the first one to cross, but she fell first, I could understand, because
then it would have probably been better. Yeah, because then it would have
been like, oh, we should be careful on the rope. Do you understand this? But that's not what happened. Yeah, she was midway crossing and then she fell, and it was like, oh, but why though?
Yeah, like I said, they kind of put that right at the end for her to start going through that change, and it wasn't fully developed out enough that it could take effect for anybody like Seraph or me or probably hundreds of other people that read it to really impact in the story in any way, or even be really any kind of point for that. It's just kind of like, oh, this is a throwaway death, so yeah, there's tons of little bits of problems there for that. How did we feel about our MC overall? Did we actually like our main character all the way through it up until the sacrificial end? Did he fall off in anywhere between?
Didn't hate him.
You didn't hate him?
I didn't hate him.
You didn't hate him? He was there. It was good. It was okay.
I mean, he had because he was the MC. He was the character development.
Yeah, this is true. They pretty
Everyone
much.
Else was more interesting than he was, honestly.
No.
Because everyone else was like some sort of archetype of something that like could like could contribute something to the actual story up until besides the MC doing what he did at the end. Mm-hmm. That's what the problem was. Like that means like his entire growth only realistically happens at the end of the story. So that means you have to enjoy all the side characters way more than you do with the main character.
Yeah, I mean, he's more or less most of the time putting himself in danger for the other characters. And if you don't like any of them, him doing it, it would probably make you go, well, why do that? It seems stupid, you know, especially for a survival story, you would think. Yeah, so the main character is the main character is reliant on the other characters, but granted, we kind of get that from the fact, just from the start of the main character, since, you know, pretty much from the beginning, he is 100% suicidal. He just wants to die, you know, so without having someone else to attach him to, it kind of would probably drag him like all the way down. He would probably end up being no different than, you know, the glasses girl if he didn't have anyone to really like level him out or bounce him off of to give him reason to actually, you know, progress through the story. But I mean, we got a lot of character out of some of the other individuals. I mean, Pyeon with the police officer, Do-suk, and his Do-suk and his eventual demise. The old man went out like a G though.
Old man did go out like a real one.
Like he went out just straight up going at it.
With the bass guitar.
Yep, Yeon with the bass guitar. Yeah, a lot of the other characters had a lot of interesting development even unto themselves that really pulled in for the MC. Did we have any standout characters that you would have probably preferred actually being MC, or even having more story time given to? Either of you?
No,
because
the way this like it's written is that the MC is a vehicle just to meet everyone else. If the MC was any more interesting, then I don't think we'd actually have cared much more about everyone else.
It's kind of like Tower God with Bam.
There it is. I was waiting for that comparison to pop up.
To meet the side character.
You are the main character.
Character simulator.
The side characters will do all of the heavy lifting for you.
There's a huge difference with this. At least in Sweet Home, like you watch, there is an actual progression of character. Okay.
Yeah, he goes from being absolute suicidal to like,
even if it is a little bit at a time, there is an actual interaction and actual like progression of his character.
Mm-hmm.
In Tower of God, it's like as much as it's like Bam is the fucking wall and you're banging your head against it to get him to do something. It's like and you're like, Bam, stop it. You need to do something else because what you're doing is really stupid. It's like, nah. I don't know any better, so we're gonna continue doing the stupid thing. You're like, stop it, Bam, we're trying to help you. At least in Sweet Home, with this, it's like everyone's interaction with the main character is enough to where we understand why there's growth. Do you understand this?
Well, we had to get him from a point of being, you know, completely passive and suicidal to wanting to live, and then to wanting to protect other people while putting himself in that chance of being killed. So, you know, by the end, he is a different person from start to finish. So, you know, we do see that growth. Granted, we have that same thing with one other character who, he gets some screen time, but he's the one who brought the prisoners back, homeboy with the fro. Because at one point, you know, he was basically bullied, and he was more or less just being a lackey. But he ends up escaping and coming back with supplies and more people to help. But I'm trying to think of with any of the other characters if like there's too much change with them. I mean, Ji-sun she starts off pretty strong, and even at the end she still finishes pretty strong. I don't think there's much change for her. The police officer, you know, I mean, outside of him just being getting in trouble because he ended up like beating a criminal half to death. Yeah, he doesn't.
He came in hella strong.
I mean, yeah,
hella strong.
Very, very much. Even with a lot of the other characters, I'm just trying to think like there's more character development that is given to the MC overall with everything that is occurring, and a lot of them only change maybe a slight bit, but not too much. So I would say that there's like no real like extra strong outside character to outside of the MC that really like. Well, aside for D-Sook,
like that.
I mean, okay. I don't mean like not a good character, but like, or a good supporting character, but like they actually start off as one way, or we learn something about them and they kind of change and grow into something else overall. I mean, D-Sook was already pretty much straight came out of the gate a badass. I mean, he was already helping people. I mean, he was more useful than any of the other side characters, and he was the disabled person. I mean, what's that say about everybody else? I got one leg, and I'm doing more work than you.
I made this whole car. You didn't do shit.
I fixed the elevator. I rebuilt your weapons. I made them better than they were. I mean, D-Sook was like doing it up real well. I'm trying to remember our MC's our MC's friend, him being more or less like the brains of the entire operation.
Oh, Hugh.
Yeah, Hugh. Him being like I said, him being the brains of the operation, but also like realistically brainy, like not wanting to freak people out, but knowing that, you know, if I tell them the truth that we're gonna run out of food in like only a couple of days, or you know, saying that if any plan we do is potentially going to have casualties, but he always keeps that to himself without seemingly like a villain in any way, shape, or form. Because there was a few times I was suspecting that he might turn at any moment, and the fact that like the MC, he just keeps it to himself that, oh yeah, I'm monsterizing right now, I'm actually on the verge of it. So I wasn't even planning to get out of here. I was going to sacrifice myself by the end of the day. So, but the
going out like a homie.
Yep. But the fact that he does sacrifice himself only to stop him from committing something that he knew he wouldn't want to do. How did we like Hyuk overall? Pretty much as a side supporting character. Did we think he actually did enough? Did he seem like he had enough character for himself? Or
honestly, he did more than enough, because he helped D-Sook make the whole plan for escape. He was rational when the prisoners came in. He even, like, you know, he saved everybody at the end. He apologized to his sister and everything like that, you know. Like, second MC right there.
Pretty much. What do you think his happy world would have been?
To go see that movie.
That would have been great if, like, instead we see in his happy world and it's just seeing that movie.
Yeah, like him and Hyun
are just in the theater together.
The movie, him having a ball, the time of his life with somebody else who has the same interest.
The exact same interest.
You know, because like at the ending there, he straight up said, "I feel bad that we couldn't
go to that movie."
You know,
that would have been even better if, like, instead, like, you see him pick up the recorder and it plays the music, and we just see him walking. And he just ends up at the theater, and Hyun's there. You see how we can just make this a little bit interesting in some ways, like, but
at least that would have been like foreshadowed instead of them like.
Well, it would have been foreshadowed like that. Yeah, they actually do retain some level of memory. It may not be a desire, but it's just memory. Yeah. So. Overall, with the entire series, how we liking it between all of the entire talk that we've had so far, I'd say we can start with Seraph. What would you rate this?
Definite 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10
for the entire thing. Like, there was a lot of tension, character development. There was intensity of it. Like, after each chapter, it kind of had me like on the edge of my seat, like, who's gonna die next?
It definitely had that first couple of seasons, first couple of volumes of Walking Dead vibe all over, where it's it
had me on the edge of my seat of damn near every chapter.
Yeah, like even with the MC, I'm like, nah, I feel like even you have just so many little armor pieces to protect you potentially from this going bad. Like any one of these characters are almost good enough that they could take your spot. So, you know, there was enough there that, yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Ark, how about you?
8?
8? It's not
Eight.
too bad. 8.
Higher than I thought.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I think like it was just really mostly strong up until the boss turned into a monster, because
so like the last like 4
because
chapters,
it felt so contrived that another monster had to feed on monster bits. If he too willingly was like, oh, I've become a monster too, like by his choice, instead of like, I'm dying here and I need help. Do you understand that? And then also like the flat ending, like we've already discussed beforehand, like that bit just doesn't. It needs more explanation, or it just doesn't make much sense, right? And then like up until that point, it's good, it's solid. And then the ending is just like, I guess they need a reason for the main character to fully become a monster, so let's just throw the boss at him as a monster too.
But then again, he was still, he became a monster when Iyun was in trouble.
Yeah.
But he was still able to control it. But then the Foley monsterization, he knew it was coming because they were saying that, it was coming eventually.
Yeah, but it felt like so it felt kind of like slightly similar to like when you're reading like Tite Kubo stuff, like Bleach, right? Where it's like, all right, I have something really, really cool I want to do, so I have to come up with some sort of contrived way to put in this really cool thing. All right, the boss didn't show any signs of monsterification before, but now he wants to become a monster, so like this monster comes across and gives him this, that has this ability. Hey, we never presented this ability before, that we can make other people into monsters whatever we want if we feed them monster flesh. Like, I would have been fine with this if at some point they had killed a monster and someone ate monster flesh and they became a monster. At least we would be like, oh, cool. This is something you're not supposed to do. But this was like no foreshadowing at all. Okay, just throw the boss at him as a monster so he can transform into this cool ass knight thing that I really, really want to draw, and have it end with on a happy ending. And I was like, in hindsight, I felt like I was just reading the ending of Bleach all over again, where it's like, everyone's happy.
You just,
and I was like,
just gonna bury him again.
I get you want to do cool things, but I need like a reason why this cool thing exists, not just like, here, just take it from me. But
don't you like my art?
You were spoon-feeding us before.
Yeah, that was an odd bit. I was kind of expecting him to monsterize at that point, but I was actually expecting like the inner voice to like appear, because we've already seen that occurs.
I was expecting that like the new humans show up and they also are like ultimate monsters themselves or something. Like, give me a reason why they turned into new humans, or like something like, oh, he has to. Oh, these new humans are extremely durable, and you like, even though they technically quote unquote killed her before, that new human body still moved, right? Like eventually, it got up and left, right? It was the girl.
Yeah, the girl did get up and leave?
She did get up and leave eventually. That's why they're like, she was right here or something, and like, oh no, but her body wasn't there anymore. She just got up and left. Like, that's why I was like, oh, so are the new humans durable or something? Is there a reason why that's an actual next step? Is there a reason why you would choose to no longer be a super strong monster instead of like a regular flimsy human again, right? So I mean, it made no sense, and I was like, oh, are they going to fight against like a new human boss? No, it's just, guys, let's just feed the boss boss monster flesh and make him into a monster too. And I'm like, but why?
But why?
There's a lot of whys.
There's so many whys. Yeah. I can definitely see some takes in that. Granted, by that point, it was harder to say without having, any of the characters interact with any of the like new humans. There wasn't really a lot of chances to actually get those kinds of answers, or to flesh out whatever they actually are. And granted, I don't think I don't actually need a full reason of what the humans are, or the new humans, because like any horror movie, you're not always gonna know the answer for why the horror occurs. It does. So I don't think it's a bad thing that they don't explain that part to me.
It's
But granted, like you said, if they was that they are more durable, what's up?
It's because they don't play enough of a role. It's not like there was no real reason for them to have become a new human. That's the point.
I mean, well, like you said, if they are more durable, then yeah, I mean, I can see that as being a reason to continue that next form evolution. I don't know if there's something beyond that after that step of that body. In some regards, I mean, as they said, it's just supposed to be a complete absence of, emotional desire and things like that. So they basically just no longer harm their world anymore. Yeah. I could see why you gave it an 8, but I could see all the, more of the problems for why certain things, especially at the end where it started to come together and, a lot of very odd choices to make there. I would have, even against what you were saying, I would have definitely gone.
It's like putting together a puzzle, and then the last piece is a piece from a different puzzle
it's a brick.
And you're like,
it's just a brick.
Why is this? What? Why? Everything was going so well until this last piece here.
I mean, a lot of stories have that problem where they're just like, oh crap, I don't know how to finish this bit. These individuals. I think that maybe, I don't know if if the writer had a deadline and he's got another story that they want to write, or there's something else, because I think that maybe a couple of more chapters could have been written to help flesh out some of those other parts, instead of just okay, this is where that end is happening. Okay, we got to close off some of these story beats. We gotta kill off this character because we want to feed that to the fan base, and then at the end it's like, all right, happy ending. It's like,
it would have been simple. Don't make the boss become a monster. Okay, if you're gonna kill the fat girl, but kill her first when she's trying to cross the line, and the ending should have remained ambiguous or vague, and that would have been fine.
I still would have liked.
And also have the new human play a little bit more at the end, where they show up, they could have been climbing up the stairs and showed up, and everyone why are there new humans here? What are they? Oh, I have to also turn into a monster in order to fight against the new humans. That would have been fine. That would have made sense.
I would have liked to gotten more from the newer life form overall. Just what's the end goal once they get to that state? I mean, plus we didn't see a ton of them walking around either, even though we saw a ton of monsters. So I don't know.
We saw a ton of monsters and a shit ton of cocoons in trees, right? So I was like, are we ever going to come back to this? There's a bunch of cocoons out there. Is no one ever going to question, how come there's a bunch of cocoons out there? No? We ever going to come back to this? See,
I hope you're prepared.
Tearing this down, and we're going to go step down. Do you want me to? This is a 7.5 now? I can keep going.
I hope you're prepared.
Keep it at the 8.
Yeah, I hope you're prepared to die with those answers. All right. I will probably give this one for my review. I will give it an 8.5. I think that this has very much a Mass Effect kind of vibe to it, where that whole ramp up was just really, really great, and then that end. Everything just kind of rush close.
The original ending for Mass Effect 3 was really good. I love that ending.
And that's why you're the weird one. Oh, yeah.
You were indoctrinated the entire time.
No.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, You mean that theory, that not part of the ending. That's the theory.
Way better, because that shit just been left ambiguous. Yeah, people real at it. They're like, wait, what the fuck happened? I need answers. See, that's the proper way to do answers like that. Okay, in order to do the right ending, you have to go the bad way. What? So you wake up from it. You're like, oh shit. See, that's how I like that. That's well actually played with game mechanics. See, that's on it.
What's up, Seraph?
I said that's a twist you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
This comes back to my theory of we only like the bad endings. But either way, I think we got enough out of all of that. I'm sure that everyone out there's got an earful of hearing everything we've had to say about the series overall. I'm sure we'll hear a few extra comments about that going forward here, but definitely thank you all for joining us for this new ramblings that we just started up all over again. Definitely hit us up in the comments below with all of your thoughts and theories on what you think happened, if you liked the end, if you hated the end, if you think we went completely in the opposite direction, or there's something that we missed. But yes, thank you once more. Seraph, go ahead and give us a closeout for.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this episode of Relevant Ramblings. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And if you guys want to stay up to date with our content, make sure to hit that little bell. And make sure to check us out. Check out our individual channels like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Anchor, Spotify, many things like that in the link tree. I've been saying all my links all the time.
All my links. All my links, link tree.
Same thing. Same.
All right, let's go ahead and roll us out here. I'm, of course, once again, your man, Sleepy.
It is your boy, Seraph here.
If you want to fight me, I'm at Art Dragoon. Okay,
on Twitter.
At
Art Dragoon on Twitter.
Art Dragoon. Bring your game.
Bring the smoke for your boy.
Let's get out of here.
Wish I could remember